Your dreams are so possible, and science is actually catching up to show us just how possible they are. And I want to share with you some experiments that blow my mind every time I hear about them or tell someone else about them, with the power of us, the power of who we are and our awareness and our consciousness, and how it literally creates the world around us. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm going to start with one called the double slit experiment. And that is an experiment. And every time I imagine it, I imagine it of these guys in white lab coats tucked away somewhere trying to prove something that is definitely not that, we create our entire universe with our minds, and maybe even to prove the opposite of that. And what they did is they sent a tiny particle, you might imagine it like a tiny particle of light, an atom, through a slit in maybe a wall, as an example. And then they sends the little particle, the little photon of light, through the slit, and it comes out the other side. And they measure the way that it randomly, as they send more and more through, the way that they randomly disperse across the wall. That's what they were doing. And then they had two slits, and they wanted to see if it would create more random or two lots of random, if that makes sense. They wanted to see the pattern that it would create on the wall if they had two slits. But what they found is that as this photon of light went through the slits, it actually didn't go through one slit or the other slit. It's like us. If there's two doors, do we go through one door or the other door? We think that's our only option. But this particle, if you imagine it like a marble, got to the two slits and became a wave of water. Imagine, that's how we can comprehend it, and comes out the other side as a particle again, and then hits the walls. Does that feel like that blows? It's like if we walk up to a door and we see two doors, and instead of choosing to go through one, we decide to just become a wave of energy or water or something and flow through both doors and come out the other side and become whole again. Yes, literally, we are vibrating particles of matter, and we are vibrating together because our consciousness is directing those particles to do that. And we are made of the same stuff that this experiment was conducted with. That means that this kind of absolute transformation of everything that we think is happening at the basic level is so possible for us as well. It means that we don't have to pick one door or another, but that we can choose to literally shift our entire reality with our consciousness. So what they then did is attempt to measure this particle. So they were like, okay, maybe there's something wrong with the particle. So then they put this little observer thing and measured how the particle was just before it went through the slit. But when they were observing the particle as a particle, it acted as a particle. So as it went through the two slits, it would pick a slit, go through as a particle, and go out the other side as a particle. Because the observers were expecting it to be a particle, it acted like a particle. Then they went ahead and they did that, measuring it as a wave. And when they measured it and expected it to be a wave, it went through as a wave. And even beyond that, so they did this thing where they measured it as one or the other, but they didn't open the results until later. So it actually wasn't being observed until later. And they found that it made no difference. Whatever they expect. Oh, no, sorry, my bad. So they measured it as both a particle and a wave. But they didn't open the results until later. And then they would pick one and only open those results first and expect it to be that one. And when they opened it, it had an effect on what would happen in the experiment, even though it wasn't measured and expected and observed as such until after the experiment. I don't even think I understand and comprehend exactly how powerful that is for us just yet. It's like akin to if we change our minds about what happened to us in childhood, for example, then we change literally the either what happened or the cellular like memories that we have inside of ourselves. I know quite a few people who have changed experiences of sexual abuse when they were younger into feeling like positive gifts that they've then taken out of those experiences. They don't think of them as negative. So they aren't negative in their minds. They are a positive gift. And now they live as if they were gifted positively, even though they were abused when they were younger. Or there are so many examples of people in like doing witness testimonies where if they're told something about it later on, they like change their memory and align with what they were told about it. That like there's so much evidence to say that this world around us is a matter of just our perception, and our perception changes based on what we choose to focus on. And so from this double slit experiment and from other quantum physics experiments, quantum physicists have decided on 3 main theories of how our world works that they're still kind of negotiating on. One of which is that there are multiple universes all living like parallel lives. Like there's like a version of me that's a boy, there's a version of me, maybe even there's like a transsexual, like there's all these different versions of me. I don't know why I went with those particular examples, but there's all these different versions of me living in multiple universes, and that every possible reality is actually being lived out. And the one that we are living and experiencing right now is chosen based on what we focus on, and that we can like shift into different universes. There is one where there's like this pure potential field out there, and that this energy of like anything is possible, and that we choose what actually happens based on where we focus our attention. And I believe that the Schrodinger's experiment is kind of a cool and really sadistic, horrible, but interesting experiment that really goes with that as well. And then the other one is that it's like there's like multiple opportunities and multiple realities that are existing in this field of like energy oozing out there. That's how I feel it anyway, so that's how I'm going to explain it to you. And then that we cannot hold the energy for all of those different opportunities and potentialities. And so as it gets closer, all of the other options have to collapse and we pick one. And we can only pick, like the way that we pick one is by the way that we focus our energy. So our energy is literally feeding this particular reality. And so all of the other ones collapse as we near it. But basically, whichever of those theories quantum physicists decide on, they are telling us that our reality, like that our reality is not fixed. That the chair that we sit on and the body that we have and the air that is around both the chair and the body are made of the same stuff, vibrating particles. And that the construct of those things changes based on what we expect them to do. Tell me, what kind of possibilities does that create in your life? If the dream of you standing on stage one day in front of thousands of people, or the dream of you being a mother even though you've been struggling for years to get pregnant, or the dream of you owning your own home, creating an orphanage in a third world country, if those things stop being this like linear process that you have to go through to get there, but they become literal like vibrating particles out there, different opportunities that are sitting out there waiting for you to just focus your energy on them and create them with your consciousness. I hope that that delights and excites and inspires you just as much as it does for me. And I hope that my very basic, scientifically explanation, but super inspired and heartfelt explanation of this kind of quantum physics and what the research is really opening us up into has served you today. My name is Kiara. I'm from An Inspired Life, and it is an honor to share this journey with you and to be like learning and growing all the time and getting to share it with you. This has blown my mind, and I hope it has blown yours. Bye for now.